everybody, welcome back to another episode of my Evolution of Disneyland series, and today we're going to be talking about Frontierland. If you are new here, my Evolution of Disneyland series is where we take a look at each land within Disneyland and we focus on how they have changed over time. Frontierland opened with Disneyland in 1955 and it focused on things like cowboys and horses and the desert. The land only had one opening day attraction, and that was the Mark Twain riverboat. It goes around the rivers of America. A few years later they ended up adding another boat, and that was the sailing ship Columbia. Other early day Frontierland attractions included things like the canoes, which the canoes themselves are still here today, but there were a bunch of other boats that a lot of people don't talk about. They're pretty forgotten, but they weren't there for very long, and obviously they're not there today. They also have a shooting range, and this shooting range actually opened in Adventureland, but they ended up moving it to Frontierland because it fit better there. They also had things like pony rides and carriages you could ride, because the main thing at Frontierland was experiencing the nature. This did change in 1956 when they opened Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland. This attraction really was the main part of Frontierland. You got to go through caves, you get to go through the desert, bear country, all kinds of stuff. You also got to go through a town called Rainbow Ridge. You're gonna want to remember that because I'll touch on it later. So as the popularity of this ride went down, the rise of thrill rides went up. So they decided to close the attraction and re-theme it and restructure quite a bit of it to fit Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain was inspired by Bryce Canyon, which is in Utah, and it's very fast-paced, making it the wildest ride in the wilderness. And as you exit this ride, make sure you look around at the buildings, because if you pay close attention, all of the buildings say that they're in a town called Rainbow Ridge, so they actually kept that part of the original attraction. Another part of Frontierland is Tom Sawyer's Island. Once you cross the rivers of America, this area is really all for exploration. There's caves you can go through, you can climb things and look around, and there's a bunch of little hidden details. And yes, this is still there, but it's not the way it was when it originally opened. This is because of Pirates of the Caribbean. Since these movies were super successful, they saw it as a perfect opportunity to add more pirates into the park. Even though the theme is different, you still can do the same type of things, but there's just a lot more pirate-based activities there. That's actually all of the attraction-based stuff in Frontierland. But I do want to touch on a few other things. One of those things is the Golden Horseshoe, which is probably the most iconic restaurant in Frontierland. You know, you get like fried food, southern food, but there's actually a stage in there and they do performances, and they've been doing performances since opening day. Another restaurant which is no longer there, but I bet a lot of you did not know this. So there was a restaurant sponsored by Frito-Lay, and that was called Casa De Fritos. They used to serve Mexican food, and they had taco shells, but not a lot of people were ordering tacos, and they just were left with a lot of leftover ones. They were like, oh goodness, what am I gonna do with all these tacos? So what they ended up doing is they started crushing them up and then serving them with more seasoning on them as like chips, and people were loving it. And then they decided, hey, we should just make this a snack and sell it around the world, and that's exactly what they did. So, you ever heard of a Dorito? Yeah, I think you might have. So yeah, Doritos were invented at Disneyland. And really the last change within Frontierland was in 2016, they closed Big Thunder Ranch, which was a petting zoo area, and they closed that to open, well, to have more space to open Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And that is it. That is a brief history on Frontierland and the types of things that they had back in the day and what they have now. A lot of it is pretty much the same, but I'm happy I got to tell all of you about it. Make sure you comment down below if you learned something new, as well as your favorite thing to do in Frontierland, or if you've never been, what would you do first in Frontierland? Make sure you subscribe so you can see the rest of the series, and if you have missed a few episodes, you can go ahead and click on my channel and go back and watch them, because I think they're pretty interesting. Go ahead and like this video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you did not, and I will see you in my next episode. Thank you again, and as always, have a magical day.